Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
This happened when I was about 10 years old. I'm 21 now and nothing similar has ever happened again. The pic related isn't of my attic door, but it looks very similar to the one in the story. It didn't have any stairs or anything like that attached to it. Basically, you would have to open the attic door and prop a ladder up to get up there. During the 6/7 of a year we lived in the house, none of my family ever went up there. It's 2005 and my family is selling our family home in Long Island, New York. Last day we are there. All the furniture is gone, clothes gone, etc. My dad had already left the day before and he took our dogs and the cat since they were gonna drive. My mom, sister and I were waiting a few days to leave since we were gonna fly. Hanging with my sister watching her play The Sims on her laptop in her bedroom. She gets up and goes to the bathroom, so I get the bright idea to scare her when she gets back. I hide in my sister's closet and plan on jumping out and scaring her when she gets back. For the strangest reason, my mind gets absolutely fixed on the attic ceiling door in my sister's closet. I cannot stop staring at this attic door. After probably a minute of me staring, the attic door opens. I watch it completely hinge upwards and open. In the attic I can't see a single thing. It's darker than black, the absolute darkest black I've ever seen. After a few seconds the door slams close. I bolt out of there. I've never had another experience. I can't say the same for the rest of my family though. My sister lived in that room and she's had experiences her whole life. One time she walks into her room. What she describes as almost a Victorian clothed-looking woman brushing her hair, looking at herself in my sister's mirror. Vanishes after she sees my sister looking at her. Another time she said she saw a little boy running through our house that definitely wasn't a neighbor or me. My mom never believed her until we were moving out of the house. When my sister and my mom were packing in my sister's house, my sister stood up to grab something. Something shoves my sister into her bed. We understood a few years later that the spirits were pretty pissed we were moving out. Only one family had lived in the house before us, and they only stayed 1 year. So like I said, we lived on Long Island, New York, about 1 hour away from the Amityville horror house actually, and so naturally we had your typical New Yorker real estate agent sell our house. This is your typical, take no bullshit, guy, and he'd been in the business for years. The real estate agent is setting up our house for an open house. No member of our family was at the house at the time. Right as the real estate agent goes to open the door and says, "Welcome to the open house," there's a huge crash in the kitchen. Turns out the curtain on our kitchen window is completely ripped off the window and on the ground. Later on he said when he was alone in the house he kept having the television randomly turn on. He ended up taking the batteries out of the remote. When my mom talked to him later in the day, he said, "This house is haunted." Keep in mind, like I said, this guy's career is dealing with houses. Something like that doesn't get said very often. I don't know what other experiences he had. My mom didn't ask after the first few stories. Like I said, I've never had experiences after that, but my sister is like a lightning rod for the other side.
This happened to me last night. Go to sleep at 11 p.m. more or less after a few hours of late-night gaming. Wake up during the night and change position from sleeping on my left side to my right side and face the rest of my room. See a dark shape, shadow almost resembling a person in the middle of my room. Don't freak out at first since I am not very easily startled and continue to stare at the dark outline wondering what tricks my eyes are playing on me. Start feeling a little uneasy after a minute passes. As I was about to get up and turn the light on, a sudden heavy weight pressed on my whole body that prevented me from moving a bloody muscle. Full combat mode engage. Struggle as hard as I can against this seemingly invisible force and manage to move my arms and legs after a few moments of intense struggle. Feel a strange vibration in my head as the thing or whatever is was came closer after much effort and willpower lose it and black out. Wake up and immediately get up and turn on the lights while still in combat mode. The door is still locked. All outside doors are locked. This was my first ever somewhat paranormal experience in my 23 years on this earth and I have no idea what the fuck happened.
Whatever it was, I think it's either dead or long gone. Be me, living in a rural area next to a heavy marsh. Great horned owl hooting previous 2 nights, no owl. Getting ready to go to sleep. Cat napping on a chair. About to get up and turn out the light when I hear the sound of something dragging across my house's wall. My house is covered in corrugated wood paneling, very distinct clacking. Freeze in place, cat frozen watching window. Can't see outside, but the window is open. Mulch and shit crunching outside. Wait to subside, shut the window. As soon as the window is shut, sounds resume in earnest. Fiddle around on the computer for a time, watching the window. The computer hangs for no reason, only light in the room. Turns on light before force rebooting, turns off light when fully rebooted. After an hour, turn off the computer and go to bed. Cat has noped to another dimension. Why can cats do that? Alone in the room, complete darkness. Continually hearing a faint whisper, open the window. Eventually fall asleep. Wake up, investigate the side of the house. Find a perfectly smooth black stone sitting in the middle of a cinder block, right in front of the window. No black rocks like that for at least 30 miles. Nope.jpg. Later in the day, a few shots of a shotgun in my neighbor's forest.
For the record, I had a very strong disbelief toward the paranormal before this happened, and now I am just confused. Uncle had died a week ago. Did not really feel much emotion since I had not seen him for over 15 years, but my mother was rather sad. Woke up during the night and felt a weird feeling like something cold was against my spine, making me shiver, so I turned from my side and tried sleeping on my back. Suddenly my ducking curtain ripped off of its hinges and flew a short distance onto the floor. I had installed those curtains myself 3 months ago and they were solid as fuck. Bricks were shat. Immediately alert and turn on the bedside lamp and look wide-eyed at the curtain on the floor, then up at the windows, which were in fact closed and were all misted up. Scream for parents to wake up. Scream for a few minutes but nothing. The fucking window vibrates audibly and visibly. Gather balls and get up to open my door and go knock as loud as I could on my parents' door, literally screaming as hard as I could for them to wake the fuck up, since by then I legit thought we had a fucking demon in the house. No answer. Give up and spend the rest of the night clutching a Bible I had never used. And ever since then I have been a rather terrified believer.
Hey guys, I have tried to forget but the memory never has left me. Walking a forest trail happily by myself, enjoying nature. Blink and in a split second I find myself back at the start of the trail. Look around whispering, what the fuck? Shake my head and start the path again, shrugging it off. Walk happily and eventually come to a stream and start relaxing again, and I lie down and close my eyes and just chill. A few minutes go by uneventfully and then suddenly no more sound of the stream. Open my eyes, and I am back at the start of the ducking trail again. Now I am freaking out a little bit and very confused since I can't make heads or tails of what was actually happening. Check the time on my phone and only an hour or so has passed. And I knew for certain that a specific trail takes at least 2 hours to the stream and back. I am pacing back and forth, both scared and excited at what I had just experienced. Started getting really bad vibes from the forest now, and for some reason I started feeling really uncomfortable. Decide to go home. Later at home browsing through shit on my phone because I was bored when I found a picture that K could say with complete certainty that I did not take. Just make the memory go away, I don't want to believe.
Be about 8 years ago. Me and bro walking desolate roads that separate both sides of town. Halfway through, down in a small gully. About 1 kilometer to either side of town. No street lights, hydro poles, etc. Just complete and total darkness at 2 in the morning. We walked that road almost every night. Stop for a quick break, enjoying the completely cloudless and starry night. Sudden bright, blue flash of light. Turn the entire night into a day for about 3 or 4 seconds. Look at bro. Bro looks at me.
Lightning?
Nope, not in the forecast. Besides, there's not a cloud to be seen for as far as we can see. No thunder. Happens about 4 more times. Nopes intensify. Bro checks the watch. In the span of what was 5 minutes, over an hour has passed. Nope the fuck out. Power walk to the next area of town. Still gets spooked when I think of it.
Alright, I actually have a story somewhat similar to this Anon story. Be me, about 3 years ago. Lying in bed at night, trying to sleep, been lying here for about an hour now. It's 3 a.m. suddenly, the room is illuminated with a light blue tint. I sit up completely. Dazed feeling from lying there for so long quickly turns to alertness. Light isn't coming from a window or any source. Seems to be completely illuminating my bedroom equally from no fixed point. After about 4 seconds, lights disappear into darkness. Transition, fade takes about a second. I sat there perplexed, not really too afraid. Thought maybe it was a car light, lightning, or something else, and I was just imagining how unnatural it seemed. Unlikely though, since I live in rural suburban Pennsylvania. Long driveways, houses far apart, houses far from roads. Not really sure what it was, but I've seen a few people on X talk about blue light illumination like that. Unfortunately, I didn't look at the clock to see if there was any time difference. I guess because of the nature of it, light, and a calm color at that, it never really spooked me like some other things. I talked to my mom about it the next day. I've tried looking into it online a few times and couldn't find anything. Pick related, the road to my old house. Be me, 12 to 13 years old. Move into a new house with my dad. The house is kind of in the middle of nowhere. Surrounded by woods, very off the beaten path. 25-minute walk to our mailbox, my bus stop kind of thing. The house was owned by my great aunt before she died. House had years of back taxes, so nobody in my family wanted to really claim it. Until my dad broke up with his girlfriend of 10 years and we were staying at my aunt's house. Great aunt was a nice lady. Was wheelchair bound. Only met her a couple of times as a young kid though. Dad on the other hand, was a violent alcoholic and dope fiend. Reason for relationship collapse. Dishonorably discharged from military kind of thing. Got worse after we moved out though, so I spent most of my time avoiding him. Tended to stay in my bedroom most of the time. Would usually eat my meals before he'd get home from work and after he slept. Always felt uneasy in the house alone, but was sort of a nervous kid. We had 3 pit bulls that lived outside. Mo, Curly, Larry, blame my dad. After staying there for a few months, I started hearing a sound outside my window at night. Would happen periodically between 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sounded like a really deep, low growling sound. Sometimes I would hear it over my earphones, sometimes it'd wake me up from a nap. I always imagined it sounded like a mix between a bear and an earthquake. Sounded like it came from right outside my window, like maybe 2 feet away and down on the ground. Would happen for 10 to 30 seconds then stop for hours, or for the night. Scared me to death as a kid, caused me many nights of huddling up in fear in bed. Curly was the dog that was about 15 feet outside my window. None of my dogs were abused and were all treated fairly. Pick related. Outside of my old house. Barn in distance, house on the left, trash on my lawn. I was in charge of feeding them, unleashing, walking them, and we had them since they were puppies. As the months passed, and eventually years, I noticed Curly becoming more timid. He would always crouch down when you went to pet him, or shy away from you, as if he were being beaten or abused. At first I didn't connect it, but over time, I started to feel like Curly was deeply afraid of whatever it was outside my window. I felt kind of a kindred spirit in him, would give him I knows under my breath as I pet him. Every morning I had to walk to my bus stop. Pennsylvania mornings are dark most of the days, and my uneasy feeling about the house and the growling made it kind of scary for me. I'd walk with earphones in, music blaring, resisting the urge to turn around. I always felt like something followed me halfway from my house to my bus stop. I'd yell the lyrics loudly, almost as if I was projecting myself enough to scare away whatever it was, or to project enough confidence so it couldn't feel my fear. As time went on, I grew less scared of whatever it was. Was able to live life removed from it, though still getting spooked or unnerved on occasion. Still heard the sound once every while and felt something was there but tried to ignore it. Kept a cardinal rule of never leaving my house when it was dark without people around though. Dogs were often quiet at night, and didn't provide much security. One day, 2 years later, my dad's recent girlfriend was down in my bedroom. Relationship problems, she was venting to me on my bed about my dad. Was about midnight. In the middle of her talking, she heard growling outside my window.
"What is that?"
She said nervously. Start explaining kind of quietly out slight fear of it somehow hearing me. She sits there petrified and kind of spooked. Said, "Oh my God," quietly, then proceeds to walk slowly out of my bedroom, transitioning into a run in the hallway. Tells my dad that there's some large animal growling outside my window. My dad, a big hunter, grabs his gun and goes outside ready to shoot. He's shot coyotes before outside my house. I watch from the window as he turns on the light and walks around. Nothing there. The growling was happening just about 15 seconds before he walked outside. Didn't speak about it too often after this incident. In the next year before I moved away, Dad's GF and I occasionally talked about how it was a really weird experience. At least I know it's not just me now. Fast forward to almost a year later. Walking home from my girlfriend's house one winter where the snow was particularly bad. Girlfriend's dad's car got stuck in the snow halfway to my house on the unplowed roads. Growling has still persisted, but I've grown ever more desensitized. I don't even hear it that often, though it's still unnerving when I do. About a 40-minute walk until I get to my house. Everybody's snowed in, it's 10 p.m., and there are no cars on the road. Light reflecting off snow has everything somewhat illuminated, so it's not scary in the slightest. I start to hear cracking sounds and footsteps in the woods as I get closer to my house. I occasionally look around and see nothing there. Eventually, when I'm within 10 minutes of my house, I start talking to it, or at least just talking out loud in the chance that there's something there and listening. "Why are you following me? What is it that you want from me? Are you just going to follow me around for the rest of your existence? Don't you have something better you could do?" I start feeling more motivated and fired up as I continue. It's an empty night and I have nothing to fear from being louder. I get to the end of my driveway and turn around, looking out into nothing. "Well, come on, show yourself. Show yourself or leave. I'm not going to waste my time being afraid of something that's not there, or can't even show itself or do anything." Nothing happens and I walk up to my house. The growling stops after this event. Soon enough I move away to live with my mom and never hear the growling again. Still to this day not sure if I just imagined it, if it was actually somehow my dog. Though I heard my dog growl on plenty of occasions and it didn't sound like that at all. Some actual animal, or something else. I'm not a strong believer in the paranormal, and keep a pretty agnostic view on things. I've had people tell me that they think it could have been a demon, an alien playing tricks, monitoring me, and a bunch of other things. I take everything with a grain of salt, but I've never really heard about somebody having a similar experience. I realize it probably sounds like a ridiculous story, but I can assure you it happened. Whether I was delusional and I just pushed away the notion of something being there or it was actually something paranormal is something I'll probably never know.
Well, here's my story. Be me. Be a 6th or 7th grader. Trying to fall asleep. Ready to drift off. JPG. Hear a deep voice plain as day say, hello? Groggily respond, hello? Realize what just happened. Fully awake now. WTF was that? JPG. Grab a baseball bat. Patrol house looking for intruder. Find no one there. Go back to bed. 3 to 4 years later now. Still doubtful about what it was. I know this could have been my mind playing tricks on me, but it is still eerie as hell. Also, if it was my mind, why would the hallucination only say, hello? Me again. I have another story for you guys. Be me. About 15 years old. Driving home with my parents from a party. Driving along a highway. Bored. JPG. Start looking out the windows. It's sunset. Admiring colors of the sky. See 2 distinct lights in the sky. They are just staying in the same spot. Keep watching them for a while. Look away for 5 seconds. Look back. One of them is gone. Decide not to tell parent cause they might think I'm crazy. The thing is, this wasn't the first time I saw the lights. The first time was when I was about 11.
Similar thing happened to me when I was in high school. Be at my BF's house in the lower Sierras. 3-story house. The top floor is mom's room. The middle is the living area, kitchen, bed bath. The bottom floor is the basement, older brother's room. Older brother was out for the night. Hanging out with my BF and his mom. Rented some spooky flicks for movie night. Finish movies and get ready for bed. Walk past the stairway to the basement to BF's room. Hear a young man asking,
Hello.
From downstairs clear as a bell. Nope. Run and tell BF and his mum. He goes downstairs with a baseball bat. Nothing there, door and windows shut and locked. Nothing out of place. Didn't hear anything else that night. BF's mom told us about a couple that lived there in the 70s and the husband was killed on the job, construction I think? She was convinced it was him looking for his wife and she spoke down the staircase to him. And said that he should move on and that his wife didn't live there anymore. I guess BF and his brother and some of their friends had heard footsteps, doors closing, etc. One incident with the top floor shower turning on by itself and again after they shut it off. After the 3rd time they noped out and hoofed it to a friend's house.
Similar thing happened to me around the same age. Typically get home from school at 4 p.m. Mom gets home an hour later. During that time alone, I typically did my homework in the living room with my back facing the front door. One day I'm doing my homework silently, it's about 4:15 p.m. Hear the front door open and close. Mom must be home early, not a huge surprise, it happens. Hear footsteps approaching behind me. Hear what sounds like a handful of bags of groceries being placed on the table behind me. Hear Mom's voice say,
Hey Anon.
Turn around and respond, Hey Mom. Nothing. Front door still closed and locked. No bags of groceries on the table. Call Mom and tell her what happened, she's still at work. Mildly spooked, but I still finish my homework. I can remember this so lucidly. They weren't faint sounds at all. They were extremely real to the point that I actually responded to the phantom noises.
I have something similar, not paranormal though. Be me. 12, just finished primary school here in Australia. Mum sometimes works late nights, until 2 a.m. in the morning at her job. At home alone one night, 17-year-old sister out of town with her school, mum working one of her late nights. Go to sleep around 10 p.m. Wake up sometime later, hear someone trying at the front door. It's an old shitty door, so it always takes a lot of key turns etc. to get open. Think, oh, that must be mum. Fall back asleep. Wake up sometime later again. Hear the door being tried again. This time it opens and I hear a bang. Oops, in my mother's voice. I realized it wasn't my mum the first time. Wasn't my sister either. Someone was trying to break into my house, probably thinking no one was in it as my mum was out at work. I could have been kidnapped or killed or God knows what. Thinking of what could have happened still freaks me out to this day.
Coworker and I work for St. Moritz, a maid service, cleaning corporate buildings and residential homes. One day a coworker gets assigned to a small building by the interstate on the outskirts of the county, so one person is enough to cover it. We drive out there in a company van together and she drops me off along the way at another contract I was assigned to clean. When she arrives, she immediately gets to work cleaning offices and restrooms, dusting, vacuuming, mopping, etc. A few hours pass, the sun goes down, primary lights go out and the power savers come on. Finished, she takes a break in a lunchroom and sips on coffee from a Keurig as she sends me a text asking if I'm done. As she heads over to ride the elevator down from the 3rd floor, friend leans over the balcony and hears footsteps and the sounds of doors opening and closing on the 1st floor below. Thinking it could be one of the building's employees working OT, she paid it no mind until she started to hear the noises grow in aggression, like papers being tossed around and things on desks falling over. It was at this point I texted her back from my building that I was ready to be picked up, and unfortunately it was at this point that she didn't have her phone set on vibrate. The phone's sound seemingly halted all the loud commotion downstairs. Everything went quiet after that, nothing besides the hums of the ventilation system. Suddenly footsteps again, this time heading out to the main lobby in which the balcony overlooks. She backs away from the railing so as to not get noticed. The footsteps pause for a brief moment below her, then continue again away from her direction towards the emergency stairwell. They stop just right before the stairs. More brief silence, then sounds of something metallic tapping very lightly against the handrailing, followed shortly after by the heavy patter of boots climbing the stairs. Friend assumes it could be a new security guard doing rounds. As such, she yells down the stairwell to them. No response, and the sounds cease once again as her voice resonates to the bottom. Dead silence yet again. Coworker can feel her heart sink into her stomach at this point. She hears different noises now. The footsteps sound very soft with a faster tempo, like someone is sneaking up the stairs on the tips of their feet. Anxious and alarmed, she enters the elevator. The door closes just as the footsteps near the top. The elevator opens at the bottom and she exits. As she leaves, the footsteps start up again. They're running down the stairs now. Petrified with fear, coworker bolts out the front door to the van, gets in and speeds off. Later that day we find out from police that she forgot to lock the front doors when she let herself in earlier, and that window of opportunity let in a burglar with a knife. Coworker quit the day after that incident.
Holy fuck, I've read a bunch of sleep paralysis stories on X over the years, but I had my first experience with it a few weeks ago. Shit still fucks with me. Be me in a dream but not know it's a dream. Be in my pantry where everything looks exactly like it does in real life. Go to put something away and flip the light switch but the light doesn't turn on. Go to turn on the light in the kitchen. Same thing happens and the clock on the stove goes out. Oh well, there must be a power outage, but wait a minute. Light in the bedroom around the corner is on. Walk away to the corner towards the bedroom where two dream friends, people my dream self knows but don't resemble anyone I truly know, are chilling on the bed. One of them has his eyes closed and is making weird motions with his hands. He looks possessed and then suddenly stops and stares at me. He whispers, "There's something moving in the darkness." Have the creepiest, most intense feeling of something behind me and I can see my friend's eyes following weird movements. Try to play it off but suddenly feel something grab me from behind. Instantly wake up and be confused as fuck because I'm now on my back in bed and the dream world looked exactly like my real apartment. Heart is pounding in my chest. Unable to move at all. Spent 10 minutes completely paralyzed in bed but it felt like forever. Takes over an hour before I pass out from exhaustion.
Alright, I have a story for you all. Be Native American living in the States. Recently I had my first son, so I was juggling work and being with him and my girlfriend. Yes, I'm Native American and successful, sue me. I remember hearing from my mother about Nupa, usually two beings that came to parents when they had children. Remember one time being told I woke up screaming from a nap with bite marks all over my body. Scary shit. More scared for my son. It starts a month or two later. First I'll see a duck around the corner when I'm doing something. Then I hear my son amused and it sounds like he's playing with something. Not really out of the ordinary, but I put him down for a nap 20 minutes ago. He naps for about an hour to an hour and a half. Go to check on him. I swear as I walked in I saw him lowered down to the ground. Go full combat mode. Pick him up and take him out to the living room. Call girlfriend. She says to take him to her mother's, she will know what to do. Go to mother's. She starts talking to me about Nupa. She says it is a part of some parents when they have children. Shit, I can't do anything. Go back home. Keep son close in my sight as much as I can. One day I put him down for a nap. I saw one of the little fuckers. It was terrifying. It was short. Looked like a midget except it did not have stumpy limbs, just like a shrunk human. Except its skin looked like it was burning and peeling off. It runs in the direction of my son's room. Our house has a hallway where the rooms are on one end and the kitchen and living room are on the other. I was coming up with the laundry when I saw it. I dropped the laundry and ran after it into my son's room. Nothing at all in my son's room. Finish laundry with my door open. After that, immediately get a baby monitor and constantly have it on when my son is in the room. It didn't happen as much after. It lasted longer when I was younger, my mother said. Happened for about a year then stopped. I have some more stories from my childhood. Be me 13. Be living in rural Canada. I moved to the US when I got serious with my girlfriend. By age 11 I was taught gun safety and had already practiced with a .22. Then when I was 13 I got a pellet gun. So since I had nothing to do in the summer I would go out and hunt small game with it. My mom didn't really care where I went. As long as I had money and knew how to get back. Take my dog, Tezzy, which in Dakota means belly. Set out in the morning walking along the fields and coulees. Take some shorts and a towel because I know a pond where I could swim. Super secretive. I've never told anyone about it for fear that I would get barred from going. So I take food, dog and my gun. By midday I made it. I swam for a bit and then ate. It was safe to swim there because the water was still clear. Later the rich fucks dumped their sewage tanks into the main lake and fucked it over. After a while of swimming I get out to eat. I barely realized that the forest had become deathly silent. Think nothing of it at the time because I'm hungry. Eat the food I packed and fed my Tezzy some. Just as I'm going to pack up to find something to take home, I hear the faint growl of my dog. Drop my shot and bring my gun up, hoping to get an easy rabbit. Nope. See a deformed face staring back from the brush. Know about Skinwalker's family has horrible superstitions about them. Fire and hear a scream. Grab my shit and sprint off back to the trail. I can hear 2 pairs of footsteps behind me. One is Tezzy's and the other is the thing. I get back to the trail after sprinting all the way. After I get to the road it stops and I hear the brush behind me violently shake as if it stopped abruptly. Keep a light jog all the way home.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.